Alright everyone, it's time for an impromptu Stick, Sex, and Hammer video here because Joe Biden has announced, and of course I'm on Netherlands time so it's getting on towards 11 p.m. at the moment, he has announced he has a running mate now. No surprise, it's Kamala Harris. The smart money was on her anyway. If you look at the rest of the list, it's like Klobuchar dropped early. For the most part, the consensus was that Joe Biden was going to choose not only just a female, which he pledged explicitly, but somebody who was non-white. Kamala Harris was always at the top. Susan Rice was, I think, a close second. Then Karen Bass and a few of these others really rounded it out. Stacey Abrams was a long shot. Let's face it. This is crazy. Joe Biden's completely goddamn mental. I think that Kamala Harris uniquely is going to be a lightning rod for criticism, and the problem is the criticism outside of her core fan base of people that are going to vote simply because they know that Joe Biden's almost 80 and he'll probably drop out, and if he doesn't drop out, you know, he's not really running things, he didn't even make this decision. The problem is outside of her very small core fan base of people that are very, very, very pro Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris really doesn't have a lot of support, and leftists increasingly do not like her, and I'll tell you why. Because they looked back at her prosecutorial record. They looked back at her saying she was listening to Tupac, by the way, 2 years before Tupac released his first album. Very, very amazing. So she's a time traveler too. At least our president is tech literate. She's a very scientific individual. Listening to Tupac and listening to weed, smoking weed at the same time, only a few years later, jailing tens of thousands of black males for the crime of simple drug possession. She was an overzealous prosecutor. She's a police statist. I can't think of anyone that would piss off a real leftist, at least a non-sellout leftist, more than Kamala Harris. This is almost like an olive branch to the moderates. In a way, at least in terms of crime, at least in terms of crime and punishment, arguably enough, almost an olive branch to the moderates, like middle America. I don't know how well that's going to work out for Joe Biden. In my opinion, she's one of the least qualified. If I had to advise him, like if I could get into a time machine, go back to when he just became the presumptive nominee, I would tell him that he's got basically three good choices. These are the three. If he can get Michelle Obama, and I know that a lot of people will complain about this, if he could have gotten her to actually renege on never running for office, because she said when Obama left, she's like, I'm never running for office, this is enough, I'm done basically, I want private life. She would have been reasonably popular, at least with the Obama insiders. If Biden could have gotten Kirsten Gillibrand on board, I think that while she has her own disqualifications potentially with certain voting blocks, I think she's at least well-spoken and looks the part. I think that she could have been sort of that sort of tightly cut corporate sort of figure within the campaign. And then the obvious one would be Pete Buttigieg. I think he would have been the most qualified potential running mate. Kamala Harris is at the bottom of the heap. All things considered, Kamala Harris would have been, if I were Joe Biden, my last choice. He was literally looking, even people on the left, there are articles literally pointing out that the Biden campaign had planted its feet and was stalling for time, several times missing basically what amounted to at least a soft deadline to appoint someone to this position, appeared to be casting about for anyone other than Kamala Harris, like looking reluctant to have her aboard. How much more damning can you get that you were essentially a shoo-in that nobody wanted? Nobody on the Biden team at least appears to have wanted Kamala Harris, and I'll tell you why. There are several reasons. Number one, she's goddamn fucking insufferable. And that's just a fact. And Kamala Harris core fans will say, well, it's sexist to say that. No, it's not. She's insufferable. She'd be insufferable if she were male too. Number two, she was an overzealous prosecutor. The problem is that Biden already has a tough on crime record to confront. The problem is that he has to appeal to younger and leftist voters. He does have to bring independents and try to balance the moderates and get them on board. But his bigger problem, because of course we can look back at his track record, he's not pissing those people off, at least with what he did when he was in Congress. His big thing is he needs to get people who are like under 30 and further to the left invigorated enough enough to go knock on a fucking door. Because right now, Trump managed to get more votes in the primary. He's one of only 4 people in the last fucking goddamn century who managed to get more votes in their primary than the non-incumbent challenger did. And I think all 3 of the others won in landslides. I think Nixon running for re-election, Eisenhower, and I can't remember the third one, but all 3 of them coasted to victory. Trump has every goddamn thing set up in the world, and Biden's best bet, what he, at the end of the day, at least supposedly himself decided, was a proper running mate, was someone who is uniquely unqualified to go after the exact voting bloc that he definitely needs, which is the under 30 further left demographic. They're already balking at the thought of having to vote for Joe Biden. Imagine when they excoriate Kamala Harris's prosecutorial record. Oh, I think that she's qualified, says Joe. Oh, she smelled nice. That's basically, the jokes are going to write themselves for the next couple of months too. I can't wait to see Trump's response. He might have already issued it now. I figured that I had to literally sit here and make a special video just because this is so goddamn ludicrous. I expected that there was at least a possibility. In a million years, I expected. Maybe Joe is still a little bit with it. Maybe there's just a little bit of strategy there. Maybe at the 11th hour, he's delayed several times. He's getting people amped up for hearing who his VP will be. Maybe it's going to be somebody else. Maybe out of nowhere, it's Michelle Obama. Out of nowhere, it's Oprah Winfrey. Out of nowhere, Klobuchar climbed back aboard. It's evil Coraline wine-drinking mom is going to be the running mate. Nope. It was exactly what people expected. Which lands like a goddamn thud because it's not even exciting, because everyone expected it would be Kamala Harris. They expected it, I think, in part because it's the most ludicrous goddamn possible fucking choice he could possibly fucking make. It doesn't make any sense. Can I ask you something? Other than the fact that she's female, which we already knew that his running mate was going to be female, he pledged to that long ago. That's no surprise. Nobody's surprised by that. It doesn't matter. Other than being female and happening to be non-white, what the fuck does she bring to his goddamn fucking campaign? It's almost basically it's basically his way of saying, if you don't vote for me, you're racist. That's basically what it fucking boils down to. Vote for her because she'll be your next president, because, I'm not going to last a goddamn term. I'll have an aneurysm, or I'll have dementia, and I'll have to drop off, I'll have to resign, maybe I'll die in office because I'll have a massive stroke or something. So Kamala will be your first. Can you imagine? Basically, a vote for Biden is a vote for Kamala Harris. There's a 99% chance that that's the case. Would you vote for Kamala Harris for the presidency? This goes out to the leftists. I'm not talking to the right-wingers. You'll vote for Trump anyway. To the leftists, do you really want a President Kamala Harris? Do you really want an overzealous goddamn prosecutor who threw tons of people in jail, often along a racial basis? People that, by the way, in some cases, ironically and amusingly enough, have been let go of and actually had their records scored out by Trump and his new, Second Chance Act, or whatever the hell it's called. Come the fuck on. I can't think of anyone worse than Kamala Harris. And I've been saying, I guess Karen Bass would have been worse, because she praised Scientology. She's not all with it. She's just a weirdo. Other than that, though, I'm drawing a blank. Klobuchar, even though she's insufferable, would have arguably been better. Gillibrand, although nobody knows who the fuck she is, would have been. Stacey Abrams, arguably. Susan Rice certainly would have been better. By the way, there were people that were trolling about an hour ago claiming that Susan Rice was the one that was actually chosen, and of course now we know that's not the case. All I can say to Kamala Harris is gross. Gross. What a grody goddamn fucking filthy president she would be. No thanks. There's no possibility at this point of me voting for Biden, because I know he's almost 80, he's had several aneurysms, he's got goddamn fucking dementia. There's no way I'm going to vote for him, because I don't want to vote for President Kamala Harris. Fuck that. Yeah, Trump 2020. That's about all. Peace out.